can quickly put a point in tree dance where you haven't taken damage yet. That wouldn't go on cooldown. You know how this ability works, right? If you take damage, it goes on cooldown. But because you haven't learned the ability yet, if you get into a sticky situation level 1, you can immediately put a point into tree dance and then just quickly get out. It's the same thing for when you're laning with Monkey King out. Sometimes I like to hold a skill point until I absolutely need to skill it for if I'm gonna get Jingu, if I'm laning and stuff. But if I feel like I'm gonna die immediately, I could just put a point into tree dance. It doesn't go on cooldown because the system doesn't think I've taken damage since I've skilled it. So I would quickly get out of like a sticky situation that way. That's just basic level 1 stuff. And next for your item build, you looks like you don't go for tangos and you went for a straight magic stick. Can you tell me why? Are you expecting them to cast all the spells? Mhm. I see. If that's the case, yeah, the first, but yeah, makes sense. If that's the case, I think you should think about not needing this magic stick at all. Possibly. Because it's 200 gold, and I'm looking at their team. It's unlikely that they will use like spells in order for you to get like worth out of the magic stick. Like, I would just get the slippers and skip the magic stick first, because then the slippers would do more damage and stuff. Yeah. Mhm. Unless you're playing against something that has more predictable like cast times, like say like Bristleback, Zeus, you know, those heroes that cast more spells, then this would make sense.
This is a good opportunity to learn.
Yeah, you do run through your mana really quickly, but that's just comes down to your skill usage as well. And just like you've mentioned, because if you don't see them through the trees, like it's the same thing for you. If you throw dagger from the trees as well, then they're not going to get a charge. Something to keep in mind as well if you're when you're playing PA, because people offlaners will see PA and they'll be like, okay, well I can get magic stick for this lane, you know. And if you don't want to give them charges, that's what you should be doing for the enemy team as well to make sure that they don't get as much value out of their magic stick. Let's see, what else we got? Mm,
All right, everybody, 30 seconds.
Yeah, especially if they could be camping you, but I think you saw the co-op here, so there's probably nothing to worry about at that point. If you want to play more defensively, so let's just say, let's just take this off the tournament setting. We talk about pubs for a second, right? The best place to stand when you're a carry, like in this rune spot, let's say you're on dire side, is where your lich is standing, right here, right? Because usually, assuming you have this watcher up and you have this watcher up, you can probably see them coming from here or from here. If they're smoked from here, you will see them from a double high ground right here, right? So it's safe for you to leave. If they're smoked coming up here, then the smoke will break from this watcher. If there's smoke coming up here, at least you can still see the enemy team. The smoke break distance, if you're standing up higher, you can see them break like just at the edge of the watcher. Just to keep in mind. They don't. It's yeah, they don't. It's based on the distance for your hero. And same thing for Radiant. You take this watcher, you take this watcher, and then you would stand on this cliff right here. And the other thing is, because this river gives you move speed, if once you're coming out the base, right, you want to take this river move speed, get this watcher first before you take this watcher. Because otherwise it might get contested by the enemy pause 4. If there's like an enemy support coming in just to take this watcher, just to deny you from having it, that could happen. Because then you would deny it from them from having it. Same deal here, because you would just take the river move speed and walk up to this watcher. That's what I would do for pubs.
Look, here's the deal. They've got an ancient, and between you and me, they got no business with it. Who was the first person to think of having an ancient? You! Get mad! Go smash their ancient!
Yeah, this changed from the new map. Yeah, yeah. The new update just launched like 2 hours ago. Let's see. Yeah. That's what the situation where the +3 Agi would help a lot, because it would give you like 3 more attack speed, 3 more damage. You would actually hit some of the CS that you would have missed here. Let's see.
Your path is decided.
First blood.
Don't think you'd be able to do that with the new PA. You've seen the nerfs? It's 650 cast range now, yeah.
There
I knew
will
it'd be
be
you.
no redemption.
Good kill though. Good execution.
That is a double
Yeah.
kill.
PA has been easy mode for carries for a really long time, so there's that.
About to be a pile of smoking rocks.
Yeah, that was pretty busted. Now she gets like 200 attack speed before the talent anyway, so that's pretty stupid. Mm-hmm.
You can't
Kill spree.
protect.
Your movement here was interesting. Why'd you go back up the cliff? Or like up here? Yeah. The camp? Yeah. I think what you should keep in mind for like if you're trying to play safe, you can hover over your XP level and it will show you like the range for your XP. Try to keep this yellow circle in the range of creeps dying, so you can hide in the trees here next time instead of backing all the way.
Kill spree.
Protect. Assassination.
Mm-hmm. So, because even if the lane is pushing in, you still want to get the XP. And if you don't want to reveal your position, then at least you can do both at the same time.
Its finest.
What's that?
Right after the first time, yeah.
Radiant. And that's
Mhm.
first blood.
There will
There.
be
Followed
no
by first tears.
redemption.
Also there.
Mhm.
Whoa! Yes, that is a double kill.
Run, coward.
Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rocks.
Yeah, here you could have fought with your creep advantage for sure. Yeah.
You
Kill
can't
spree.
protect. Assassination at its finest.
Radiant's throwing all they've got at Dyer's bottom tower.
That's not bad. Okay, in a situation like this, there's something to also keep in mind, where you've just killed the Muerta 2 times in a row, right? That means that Muerta on the third life, she has to walk all the way back to lane because there's no TP up, right? Meaning that at this point it's a 2v1. So even if the lane is pushed under the tower, your instinct is to pull it back, obviously, but you need to recognize that this Muerta isn't showing up for at least 2 more waves, which means you can just like hit the Spirit Breaker. He has no support, it's 2v1 for a bit. Because another thing to keep in mind is while you're focused on your own lane, in a way, you're also responsible for what the enemy gets out of their lane, right? And right now, the Spirit Breaker is getting a decent amount of farm out of this lane, even though you've just killed him and the support twice.
Caught in the crossfire.
Don't think that could have changed much. Let me look at it again. Yeah, she was just hitting the Lich, but that was mostly the Lich's fault rather than yours. I don't think you could have made much of a difference here. Most you could have done is instead of body blocking him, you also dagger the Spirit Breaker instead of daggering this guy.
Caught in the crossfire.
You can tell Dyer's middle tower is in trouble from the way it's being destroyed as I speak.
It's not worth putting your Coiling Blade in your backpack compared to Iron Branches. This is like a lot more damage. 8 damage compared to 1 damage. And with the Coiling... It's just for minions, yeah, but it's worth it because you want to get CS. And just the other thing about Quelling Blade too is that if you had Quelling Blade up, you could cut the trees to pull the aggro right there.
Oh, as you please.
If you're in the vicinity of Dyer's top tower, I'd put on a hard hat. That baby is got dominate.
In here.
It is foul play.
Dyer's top tower is really taking a beating.
I think you're probably still like the best in the game, right? Yeah. But you know, this is like small things. I want to see something bigger. Because laning is only going to take more and more practice. You know, things like this. You can't really get a perfect lane, but like it's good that you're recognizing your own mistakes. So you said PA was like your most favorite carry for right now, right? It's like the first in the list.
To the tally.
All right, I'm curious to see if you know the small efficiency tips on the hero. That usually happens once you start jungling. Yeah, this is a good kill. Well played, well played. I really like carries to the room a lot.
Killing spree, killing spree, killing spree.
Yeah, that's fine. I see you switch your treads to for the TP too. That was good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, perseverance. It's good. You buy the perseverance for yourself? Yeah. If you want to upgrade your PA gameplay, that's mostly what's gonna be left when you micro your donkey as well. Because not only can you get perseverance for you, it's gonna give you vision of camps for you to dagger and blink to, which is really strong for efficiency purposes, right? So while like throughout your jungling, like this general circle should just be back to the ancients, this small camp right here. Especially for this movement, you want your courier here so that you can see it and then just blink to it without having to waste the time walking. The same thing here. As you're clearing this camp, there's nothing to do but attack, right? So you would micro the courier, move it here, so that you're ready for the next camp rotation. It would just be faster in general.
That I may not falter in my flight. Looks like Dyer's top tower is in some trouble.
Yeah. So when you're in this spot for like jungling or just like farming, the rotation is normally just camp, this camp, this camp, this camp, ancients. And the ancients is the most important part. And you want to make sure you hit ancients at the 50-second mark so that you can pull it back. And you can just do it with blur. It's really free.
Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick. If you're in the vicinity of Dire's top tower, I'd put on Radiant's a middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rocks.
Either way, the wave is always going to give you the most money. Then the ancient camp is going to give you the second most money. And the ancient camp is only like 10 gold less than the wave too, so something to keep in mind. This is like a second free wave behind your tower that you should be trying to take as soon as possible. And like you can make the whole like rotation faster, specifically on PA with your courier. You can do the same thing with PL as well if you have Phantom Rush. All you need is just having vision of the camp. You micro your courier. You can just go straight to it. Mhm. It's good, but then that means you're gonna run out of mana really quickly. And even though you have Perseverance and you're gonna do tread switching, you're still gonna run out of mana. I recommend having raindrops. For while you're farming. Yeah. It does. It's also good because normally when you're farming, you're not really expecting to fight that much, so it will help prevent like if they're smoked up and trying to gank you, that like raindrops would make the difference between you living or dying. Okay. Well, in a situation like this where you're starting to farm more, usually you can just tell your support that you don't need to you don't need to be babysat anymore, right? Once you hit your 6, if they don't have a ward for you, then you can buy your own ward. You place the ward in front of your tower to make sure that no one's coming to gank you, and this is basically free. You would do the same thing on the Radiant side. You know, you would buy your own observer ward, and then just make sure that like your support's no longer needed here, right? Like your support can go play mid somewhere else, try to make some space happen. So that's what you would do.
Dire's middle tower is taking one hell of a beating.
Them screaming duets.
Yeah, because right now this guy's not doing anything. If anything, he's actually sapping your own XP because he could be mid level 6 right now.
You got yours.
The worst thing about having your support top too is that if your support stays here, guess where the enemy support feels like going? The enemy support's gonna come to wherever there's other supports to trade with. If your support goes mid right now, the enemy support would be like, "Yo, he went mid. I need to help my mid player." And guess what? That makes more space for you. But because you started a fight here while you're level 6, level 7 in a timing that you don't really want to fight because you're going for Battle Fury, and then your support just TP'd here too. Now he's also like level 4 Lion in your lane. Now there's two people in your lane sapping XP, and this guy, Spirit Breaker, all he wants to do now is like, oh dude, let's just fight here. There's people here, you know? And the whole time, Gyrocopter's having farm. Now he overtook you in net worth. Yeah.
Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick.
Yeah, it's just generally just a waste. But see, they see these supports move, the Spirit Breaker's now gonna charge Lich, and now you have a free lane again. And that's why the ward here would be valuable. Then you know that the Spirit Breaker is gone, and you can take this wave for free instead of trying to jungle. But we'll see how this goes.
What the hell's going on down there? Is that a kill spree? No, is this?
Pretty much what I expected, except like, this all happened because the Lich stayed top, if you really think about it. So,
Radiant might
but
win a
it's
host
still
of
space for
battles
you,
with
you know,
bottom
you see,
tower.
you're still getting free farm,
Still
which
got
is fine.
Looks like Radiant's top tower is getting torn down. Dire doesn't haul ass to help out that bottom tower. There's not going to be a tower left.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention, you know how blur means you can take these ancient camps because they can't see you? If you're doing the efficiency thing with the courier, they will attack your courier if there's nothing else to attack. So something to keep in mind.
Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine, you can look. It's kind of funny. I thought I was excited before. Nope. Now I'm watching a kill spree. Man, Radiant does not like Dire's bottom tower, and it shows.
Alright, here's the thing that I'm noticing the most. I will go back to this ward because I think it's just that important. If you had this ward up right here, then you would know this creep wave is kind of safe to take because you can see TPs coming in from this tower. And it's important that your wave crashes into the enemy offlane tower because that's how you slowly do chip damage to this thing. If it always stops right in front of the tower or just in tower range without any creeps hitting the tower, then this offlane tower will stay like alive for a lot longer than it should be, right? And it's basically stopping you from farming as efficiently as possible. Because at any point, if they see you right here and they think they can kill you, they're just gonna TP, and it's a really close distance to just kill you. You just want to take advantage of that as much as possible.
Wow, that was unintentional. Forget I said that. Their bottom tower is in trouble, though. Man, Radiant does not like Dire's bottom tower, and it shows. I am not a betting man, unless it's basketball.
You want to take the advantage to take down this tower as soon as possible, because once this tower is down, then like it opens up some more places that for you to play in. Like like if you get this at 14 minutes, it'd be pretty crazy. You get the secret shop, you get easier movement into mid too, like from this high ground. Usually nobody plays here this early.
But if I was, I'd bet on Radiant's top tower coming down. If Dire doesn't haul ass and help out that bottom tower, there's not going to be Radiant's a tower middle left. Tower is hanging on by a brick. Looks like Dire's top tower is in some trouble. Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine, you can look. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Utter total domination. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Above ground is over.
I declare a month of mourning.
Don't look now, but Radiant.
So what I noticed earlier was that you had 4 heroes bottom already pushing in, but they had no sign of life, right? You should be careful at this point. I would not take the risk of even going for the flag bearer creep. I would just go and farm like deeper into the jungle instead, so that they would waste time finding me. But yeah,
Bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine, you can look. It's kind of funny.
yeah.
Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine, you can look. It's kind of funny. Hope Dire's middle tower is insured. That thing is standing on its last brick. Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine, you can
So
look.
tell me about your item build. Is it always going to be Treads, Fury, BKB, Deso every game? Or do you switch it up? hmm What if your game's really good? Do you skip BKB for Deso? hmm What do you hear about? Oh, you're going methodical. Yeah, interesting. hmm So which facet do you play with more often? Methodical? Okay. OS, okay. So after BKB, what's your item after that? SNY, yeah, I would go. I would most games I would consider skipping BKB for SNY because normally, unless they have some kind of burst, you don't really need BKB, right? Because BKB is something that you press so that you can do something for a few seconds so that you can't die. It's not something that you press so that you could survive. Not. I worded that poorly. It's so that you can't die from burst. SNY is good in like 99% of situations, and you want to use BKB in the situations where if you can die in 1 second, then that's where you pick BKB. And BKB is good this game because of like Sonic Wave, you know, or like Spirit Breaker's charge combo that does a lot of damage. Then BKB is good in that sense. But if there's no Quap this game, there's no Spirit Breaker this game, I would see their team and think I can get a wave in SNY easily, you know. Mentor. Mm, it's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's worth it. Is the problem with SNY is that it's just too good. You know, it gives you every stat that you want out of a melee core right now. It gives you status res, move speed, health regen. Especially if you're an agi hero, then it gives you more damage, right? It's just faster, just the Yasha build up. And like out of BKB, it's like if I wanted to farm with just a mithril hammer or with like, you know, half a Yasha, I would pick half a Yasha, basically. But you know, it comes down to preference. I can't really tell you what's good and what isn't. But like with Sweet Release, obviously you would go like B Fury, BKB Deso. That's like standard PA stuff. But with Methodical, I've had a theory for a bit, but like I won't exactly tell you how to play with Methodical because like pros play differently, right? And the thing about Methodical is it feels weird that you're going Battle Fury, and I'll explain this to you in a couple seconds. How long does it take for you to crit on the creep? 4 hits, right? By the time you are prepping up your fifth hit on the creep wave, or I guess the fourth hit on the creep wave with Battle Fury, that crit isn't going to do much with the cleave. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's pretty much dead, and then you're basically building up this huge 60% cleave on a crit that's gonna do like 100 damage in total to the entire creep wave. That like what's remaining of their health. I think it's interesting, but like obviously it's not something that I've tested yet. So I'll have to play a bit of PA, then I'll come back to you on that. But mhm. Yeah, you dagger once it hits two, then you hit. Then if you have dagger backup, then you hit, then it crits. It makes sense, but like I feel like if you want to go methodical, it makes sense to have a different build just to fight more often. And then if you wanted to farm, you would go sweet release. But that's just my 2 cents on it.
Is stone dead.
Alms for the dead.
Hope Dyer's middle tower.
Something more weird and something more that I'm more comfortable with. I would experiment with like corrosion, diffusal blade, mask of madness, echo saber, those type of items.
Thing is
But
standing on its last. Don't look now, but Radiant's
yeah,
bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine.
but I'm going to experiment on it with it first before I tell you if it's good or not. But for now, I would just stick with the standard book, Battle Fury.
Radiant's bottom tower is a pile of dust and gravel. Dyer's top tower is really taking a beating.
And then you could the important part is that you can start participating in fights, so you have a lot more influence in the game earlier. Most carries, the way they play right now is that they're just gonna farm for 6 slots. Not a lot of carries are ready for you to start playing active, mostly, and that's like something that you can take advantage of. But it's that's like a whole different playstyle, and I'll teach you that only if you're like interested in learning those battle carries. So think like Monkey King, Slark, those kind of heroes, you know.
you're in the vicinity of Dire's top tower, I'd put on a hard hat. That baby
Yeah,
is coming.
I'm not going for this wave. I'm just gonna go get the ancient camp. Remember, if you take the ancient camp, it's just gonna be 10 gold less. Like, who cares, you know? Or even then, or if you're just gonna sit there and wait, you might as well just be doing a small camp in the meantime.
Dire's top tower is really taking a beating.
Let me check the tower real quick. Yeah. You know, small differences in like the early laning would have changed this like tower health versus tower health. You might not be able to take this tower, but at least it would be lower for you next time when you try to push in this wave.
Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rocks. Radiant's throwing all they've got at Dire's bottom tower. Dire's bottom tower's gone.
Oh, is this a league game?
Up north.
Yeah.
Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
You got hands-on experience.
No, no, no.
Dire's top tower is really taking a beating. If you're in the vicinity of Dire's top tower, I'd put on a hard hat. That baby is coming down.
Yeah, your past couple of minutes here is basically a waste of time. Like, you could have been just doing this instead. Like, the tower going down feels bad, but this tower, in the grand macro of things, like this tower and this tower, if you're playing on Radiant's side, technically doesn't matter. It's too far away from the map. Like, take a look at the mini map, right? You see how close this tower is to the base right here, like this distance compared to this distance. It's like almost double, right? Like, this tower is so far out there that it doesn't matter when, like, if that safe lane tower goes down. And the other thing about the distance too is that it's easy for the enemy to just walk into your lane than it is for your allies to come walk to your lane. It's interesting how that works out.
Haste lays waste. I was meant to have this. Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine.
Yeah, you see you walking around the corners and stuff. If you micro your courier, you can avoid all that. Yeah, but this all these fights is just for you to get your BKB. So they're doing the best. Let's see.
Radiant's scanning for enemies. Or maybe for friends. They look unpopular.
If that's the case, then you guys should be looking to push like tier 1s instead to force fights outside closer to your base instead of going for this fight right here. Because this fight right here is very risky. Very unlikely that you guys win that. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Like, you clear the creep wave without creating once. You know, it feels kind of bad. Just with methodical. It's just,
Radiant's middle
we'll
tower
see.
is about to be a pile
I
of
could be completely wrong, but we'll see.
Dire's top tower is really taking a beating. Double damage.
What?
Come to act. Kill spree. Look at you go. Hacking at limbs, blood spraying everywhere. Just adorable.
Shame. That's a good tread switch. You lived because of it. Yeah, I'd say so. Not, I mean, but it always comes down to like the tempo setters of your team. So it's gonna be your OD and your axe that really sets how you guys play.
Keep running.
Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick.
Hmm.
If Dire doesn't haul ass and help
I
out
think your OD also had a rough lane. He got ganked twice by the Quap and Spearbreaker at this point, while your Lich is like still top lane.
that bottom tower, there's not going to be a tower left. From the way it's being destroyed as I speak. Dire is kicking sweet hell out of Radiant's bottom tower.
Mhm. You know, when these fights are happening in general, you should just be aggressive and hit this tower if once you have your BKB up. Because if in the worst case scenario, you can just BKB TP up, and it's not a waste of a charge because either way you're forcing movement, right? Or if a support shows up that alone while your team is fighting that you can kill, then you know it's a free kill. Then you just TP out too. Same difference. Other than just like taking small camps here, that is not gonna like affect the game state.
Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated.
It's just just a better rotation. Or if you choose to, you can also try to fight Gyro. Like even though he's got all these items, I don't think he can hit you through your 37% evasion right now.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. At the very minimum, you either force him to go back to base or you force a support TP, which makes your fight for your team here better.
Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rock. If you're in the vicinity of Dire's top
Exactly.
tower, I'd put on a hard hat. Dire is scanning for enemies. Down. Probably hoping to catch a glimpse of what's going on down there. Is that a kill spree? I didn't authorize this.
In general, if your team is moving and they see enemy heroes, you should be moving too. You only go back into these camps only if you don't feel safe. Good. See, but this you could have done like the first rotation around, you know, while the same when this exact same situation's happening.
The phantom strikes.
Radiant's top tower has bit the big biscuit. Looks like the Dire figured out where Radiant's top tower is.
I think it's weird because this thing's considered like a building or something. Same thing with like the gates and Tormentor. Okay. Now, two more things I'm gonna look at. I'm just checking to see if you know how to push a tower fast, SPA, and also how you execute team fights. I think other than the farming patterns and the laning that we've been through already, it seems like you're aware of most of the issues that you're currently going through. It's good. Your trade switching is really good, pretty consistent. But now I'm gonna see how you handle team fights and see how you push towers. And those two things I'm really interested in.
Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of
The
smoking
jungle
rocks.
has everything Axe
Man, Radiant
desires.
does not like Dire.
So when you checked your damage against this gyrocopter here and you were successful, the moment you had your SNY plus this Gale Guard is like a moment where you should be telling your team that I think you can kill anybody on this map, right? Like then if that's the case and you recognize that they're right here, then you should go for it instead of like trying to farm more.
Radiant's middle tower just got
Because
smacked.
the longer you hold onto an item that you just got, the less powerful it becomes when they get to farm more and more items. Like the moment you get your SNY, I doubt anyone can deal with that. The moment you get your Gilgard and your Basher now, even on top of that, like there's no way there's anyone on the map that can deal with you in a 1v1.
One down, four to go.
Dire's scanning all over for enemies. I promise this will get more exciting. Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick. Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rocks. Radiant's scanning around for enemies. With their odd Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick. Ugh, I'm sorry, it's just creepy.
If you want to force a reaction, uh, just asks for the buffs to be put on you. So if you have Frost Shield plus Glimmer plus your own Gilgard, you cannot die because shields they benefit from damage reduction. So let's say, for example, you have this 250 shield on you from Gilgard, right? That 250 shield is going to be affected by an additional 60% damage reduction. So do you know how much fizz damage they have to do to you? It's like for that like Gilgard to be completely gone. Like there's no way they burst you with like shield 1, shield 2, shield 3, and then you can BKB right after with a 12 charge magic one. Like there's no way. If that's the case, right? All you need to do is just like, okay, put the shields on me. I'm just gonna hit the tower. They probably cannot do anything to you other than just like fearing you off of it, or maybe you can force macro pyre. And if you do force macro pyre, then guess what? That then they don't have macro for that fight. You guys back off, and then you can take a more confident fight next time. If you guys are just gonna camp and do nothing, then it is basically wasted.
Smoking rocks.
You just made space for gyro instead.
Oh, unlucky bash.
Radiant takes out Roshan the Immortal.
Interesting.
Not the most accurate name, was it?
Illusion!
Yeah. Oh, this is weird movement from your team. The moment you have Aegis, you just need to pick a lane and push, basically. Like you cannot be wasting time on Aegis. No, you can't. Yeah, it has to be 2, and usually it's just going to be mid plus whatever lane that is going to be pushed on its own naturally. If you guys stay here, then there's going to be an opportunity and be like, well, I don't feel confident that we should push into a high ground, blah blah blah, until we get a pick off. But that doesn't matter if you have Aegis. Like you don't need a pick off to win a 5v5 fight if you have a second life on your carry. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is, in general is going to be pretty scuffed because like your whole team's not together. But hey, you can force the BKB at least.
But Radiant's
No,
bottom
they have
tower
Bara.
is obliterated. You can look, it's kind of funny.
And now the fight's kind of messy because of that.
Dominating.
Alright, I'm gonna take a look at this with real
Don't look
perspective.
now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine. You can look. It's kind of funny. Radiant might want to haul some ass down to their bottom tower.
Okay, before even looking at the team fight, based on sound alone, I know 2 things. Sonic Wave is used and Call Down is used, which means, in a way, Quap is kind of useless now. Same thing with Gyro. So I should try to look for heroes that still haven't used their ults that are important that I must take out first. Sonic Wave can move you during BKB, so I don't really care. So my prime targets right now is Jakiro, who still has Macro Pyre, or Spirit Breaker, who still has his like charge combo that can fuck up your BKB timing, depending on when you press it in this fight. Other than that, Orta's not that big of a problem. Same thing with Quap. Like you're basically try not to get killed by try not to kill Quap unless you have like guaranteed lockdown for her. So I will only look for her if my team has stuns. Right now, my main target would be Jakiro. That's what I would think about.
That one.
I also don't think you should be walking up this stairs in general. I would just take this path instead. It's just safer. We went for Jakiro. That's good.
See a domination today? It's like watching a lion take out gazelles.
All right. In a situation where you know your team's gonna collapse on you and you have Aegis as well, you should try to fight as long as possible to make the enemies have incentive to stay. That way you can at least get like buybacks or something from the enemy team as you're pushing up. Yeah. So I think that was like your second use of BKB too. No, your third use. So it would have been a 7-second BKB that like you wasted like 1 second trying to blink back into the creep wave instead of trying to fight more.
Tower is in some trouble.
So your Axe TP back to fix the wave, kind of crazy.
Dyer's top tower is really taking a beating.
There's no cart, right? So you just
Let
ignore
me
it.
see something else.
If you're in the vicinity of Dyer's top tower, I'd put on a hard hat. That baby is coming down.
Good. Yeah, using the Phantom Strike attack speed.
Looks like Dyer's top tower is in some trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Wait a finger-licking minute. Am I looking at a mega kill down there?
You could use the exercise.
Yeah, you had your Guild Guard back up too.
You can't escape this fear. You can't escape this fear.
Yeah, it means that they have vision. Yeah. The rage creeps have higher vision, pretty sure, compared to melee creeps.
What are we doing?
I'm just doing a replay review. Yeah, I mean you have 1 minute on Aegis. The way I see it is like this tower should not have lived that long, and this tower also should not have lived that long. And I'm sure you know the reasons for both. It just comes down to how you played.
Intentional. Forget I said that.
And also, it's like mostly your team, so don't feel too bad about it for the mid at least. But like, you could have done more work on this top tower in general, just trying to do macro.
Always in trouble. Dyer's bottom tower.
But other than that, I think you played pretty well, and also you're like aware of the tips as well, like the Phantom Strike for more attack speed, stuff like that. Because you can't Phantom Strike a tower, obviously, right? But yeah.
Worthy tribute.
Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by Radiant's middle tower.
Hold on, let me look at this team fight.
Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rocks. Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick. Radiant's middle tower.
Oh shit. He blinked into Ice Path.
Is that a double kill? Hold on. And yep, check out. That was a double kill. Stop. I'm being told I'm supposed to say ownage right now. I don't like it. Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick. Radiant's middle tower is about to be a pile of smoking rocks.
Yeah, they don't have their buys up.
Radiant's middle tower is hanging on by a brick. That's it for Radiant's middle tower. We'll never forget you, Radiant's middle tower. Dyer is kicking.
So the interesting thing about this is that it only works if you actually do have tower pressure. Based on your team, I don't think you guys have tower pressure. If you had more heroes that actually dealt tower damage, then this would be the correct play. Also, you don't have a Deso, so this makes it like harder to do basically. If you don't have like Jakiro, you don't have Shadow Shaman, you don't have anyone that does more damage to towers, you kind of just have Lion that doesn't hit the buildings that well, Lich that doesn't hit buildings that well, and same with Odie that also doesn't hit buildings that well, then it's kind of different. Your offlaner Axe can also hit buildings, which is like he's like the second best tower hitter after you, but that's really it. If you had more tower pressure to make the enemies feel like, because right now if I'm the enemy and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, yo, there's no way they take 2 tier 4s and the ancient in 36 seconds. You know what I mean?
The bejesus out of Radiant's middle barracks. Radiant's middle barracks just fell. Can Radiant come back from this? Between you and me,
The other thing is too, like if you're deciding to go end the game right now, you should have a safety net. And what I mean by that is that you want to take a look at your other lanes, and if this tier 3 is still up, and this tier 2 is still up, and this like all-in play doesn't work, then the game just becomes longer for no reason. You know what I mean? Because then there's these tier 2s still up. If these tier 2s are gone and it's just their base, then yeah, then I would say it's worth trying this out, even if you don't have tower pressure.
maybe. Radiant's middle barracks just fell. Pretty cold move, Dyer. Now where are the Radiant creeps gonna sleep? Don't look now, but Radiant's bottom tower is getting obliterated. Okay, fine, you can Radiant might want to haul some ass down to their bottom tower. Well, they still got one. Radiant's sturdy bottom tower was built to withstand, never mind. I thought I was excited before. No, good work now I'm watching. Also, just say, don't worry, I have called the police. I'm being told I'm supposed to say ownage right now. Gotta like it. This is a monster kill. That's a double kill.
It's fine. I think your target prioritization in team fights is also really good. So the only thing that would be left for you to like really practice on is just mostly your laning and your farming pattern. That's it. Everything else seems pretty solid to me. And when I say farming pattern, I don't mean that you farm inefficiently. I mean like you either farm in places that you shouldn't be farming, or you don't take advantage of the fact that there's like enemy heroes elsewhere and you can be pushing in lanes instead.
you're a fan of Radiant's top tower, I'd
But at least you're recognizing that. Knowing the Phantom Strike trick is also really good too. You can also make like your jungling easier by microing your courier, something to experiment with next time you play PA. I think you'll notice how much nicer it feels, basically.
Radiant's bottom is cashed in its brick chip. Fine, you can look. It's kind of funny. Oh, Radiant's bottom barracks just fell. Dire's using Radiant's bottom barracks as a punching bag. Oh, Radiant's bottom barracks just fell. If you're a fan of Radiant's top tower, I'd shut my eyes right now.
So, Abyssal has a Sanj built into it now, and a lot of pros do keep the Sanj and Yasha still, but you should know why and when you shouldn't keep the Sanj and Yasha, so you can just disassemble it. You should disassemble the S and Y into, let's say, for example, Manta Abyssal if you need the Dispel from Manta, right? But if you don't need the Dispel from Manta, then you should just keep it as is. And I mean, the Yasha really only builds into like either Yashakaya or Menta. That's it, you know. And you should like having two Sanjas don't stack with each other because like Sanj and Sanj based items don't stack with each other, and it's just not worth it. And the other thing too is that you would keep your S and Y if you want the status resistance, nothing else. Because the thing that's unique about Sanj and Yasha compared to other like combinations of items is that Sanj and Yasha gives you status resistance. So when would this be useful? Against a team with a lot of stuns or silences, that would be useful. And when I say a lot, I don't mean like they have a lot of, or like I mean more the frequency of stuns. Like how often do you get stunned in a team fight, right? So when I look at this, then I see, okay, well, the stuns that they can kind of spam is probably just like charge, right? I wouldn't consider rocket or homing missile a really spammable stun. Same thing with ice path, because like, you know, if you kill Jakiro, then there's no more ice path. So for like a stun from that support, I don't really care about. Yeah, you should keep the S and Y. But in most cases, I would be like, you know what? I would rather have a Manta, which in this case, I would rather have a Manta than yeah. Because like Manta would dispel his stun. Manta would also like just fuck up Spirit Breaker's targeting. But yeah. So like against Pudge, Shadow Shaman, Fiend's Grip, Lasso, stuff like that, I would keep the S and Y. But other than that, I would always break it into Manta and Sanchi and Abyssal. Alright, it looks like that's it for this game. Alright. Was that useful? No problem.